Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be sharing with you a requested tutorial from my group on how to cut this stylish underbust princess darts basque dress with flare. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, I went ahead to mark my basic measurement, and the total length of this dress, let's say, is 60 inches because the dress is quite long. So I marked my shoulder to bust, shoulder to underbust, shoulder to waist, and for the basque length I added only 3 inches because the basque is slightly small. Now I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2, go down by 1 inch, and I will go ahead to connect. From that point, the next step you need to take is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Mine is 7. I made a mark on that point, and I'll go ahead to draw out a straight line. After I'm done drawing out this line, the next thing is to go ahead and I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2 at this point. After I'm done marking, I'll go ahead to place my ruler, and I'm going to draw out a straight line. Now I'll divide what I have here into 2 and mark. And I'll come out by ½ inch. Now I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. After I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to connect from the upper part all the way to the lower part of the ½ inch and connect to my armhole. Now I'll go ahead to mark my dart intake. To mark my dart intake, I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2, but at the waistline I'll mark 3 inches. Why? Because the dart line we have on this part is slanted towards the center and is not so straight, so that's why I'm using 3 inches at this point. You can also use 2 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark ½ inch on both sides, come down by 1 inch. Here I'll also mark ½ inch on both sides. After I'm done marking that, I'll extend that measurement all the way to the lower part. After I'm done extending that, I'll go ahead to place my ruler and I will connect all those lines. After I'm done connecting those lines, the next step you want to take is to go ahead to connect from that upper part all the way to the lower part of your pattern, and I will use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. After that, the next step is to insert your body measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake and add my sewing allowance. Here I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, and I'll replace, add my sewing allowance. So after I'm done doing this, I'll just go ahead and connect this from the bust to the under bust to the waist, and I'll be drawing out my basque. But before drawing out my basque, I'll use my marker to outline this. So now I'll go in and blend in these darts. So to draw out the basque, I'll come in by my sewing allowance and to the point of my actual measurement so that it will blend with what I have at the back. I'll extend my basque all the way to the lower part of my pattern. So for the basque, I use 2.5 inches. The basque is not so deep. So after I'm done marking this out, we'll go over to the upper part of this pattern. So I'll label this as C and S as side. So next, I'll be coming up by ½ inch at this point. From that point, I'll mark 0.75 inches, and which is on both sides, it will become 1.5. I'll mark this. From the neckline, I'll go in and mark 3 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower part. After I'm done connecting, I'll connect back to my underbust this way. And after connecting at my underbust, I'll go ahead and divide what I have at the armhole part of my dress by half. Now, I'll also go ahead and I'll mark ½ inch on both sides of that line. So I'll connect from the bust point to the midpoint of the line, and from one part of the ½ inch I'll connect and also connect the other side. Now I'll be connecting this to my bust point this way, and I'll also blend out what I have on this part and connect to the other side. So after I was done, this ½ inch on both sides, which is 1 inch, I'll connect it back to my armhole to avoid the other side being shorter. For the neckline, I used 2.5 inches, and I'll be connecting it to this part of my pattern because that is what we have on the dress. So when you're joining this part and you have any excess, if you have need to remove the excess or reshape that part, go ahead to do that. So I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and add half. My nipple to nipple is 3.5 plus half. I have 4 inches, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the underbust part of my pattern. After I'm done connecting it, this is what I have on this part of the dress. So for the upper part, you notice that the sleeve extends to the back of the dress. Now add another pattern paper and I will join it together. I will sellotape it together, and now you just go ahead to extend this as much as you need at the back side. So you can even reduce the size as you're extending it to the back, or you can just maintain the length, the size you have there. So I'll just use this as an example. Let's just say that this is what I have for my back extension. So now I'll just go ahead and cut out the rest of this. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any question, please leave it at the comment section. And after I was done cutting out, this is what I have. So next we'll be moving over to the back pattern, and before that I'll go ahead to just tape this up as one piece to use it to cut out my back pattern. So after taping it up, this is what I have. Now I'll place it on another pattern paper. So for this dress, I'll take up the basque part and place it at the end of the pattern. And also there's no zipper at the back part of this dress, and next thing I'll do is just to go ahead to trace this out, and I will cut it out. So after cutting this out, this is what I have. I'll use my scissors, I'll cut it out. And now for the lacing bar area, I'm going to use 1.5 inches. Also remember, you're going to create a modesty panel that you're going to use to replace the back of this dress, which is not open. And I'll just go ahead and mark, and after I'm done marking, I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. So after I'm done cutting this out, this is what we need. So you're going to place your pattern together. After you're done sewing the upper part of your dress, you're actually going to join it together before getting the measurement to cut the lower part. So let's assume that here is my dress on fold and I'm done joining, and what I have here is 14 inches. So 14 inches on fold, that means I have 28 inches. I'm just assuming this is the measurement of the dress. So remember, we took out 1.5 inches for the eyelet space. So this eyelet part that we took out, which is 1.5 times 2 for both sides, will give me 3 inches. So I'll add the 3 inches back to my waistline, giving me 31 inches. So this 31 inches, you have to add at least 1 inch on both sides for the zipper allowance for the flare at the back, giving me 33 inches. So for this pattern, I'm going to be showing you how to cut a 180 degrees flare or 360-degree flare for the lower part of the dress. So for a 180-degree flare, you have to fold it in a triangle form now. So what you're going to do next is that measurement we have, which is 33, you're going to divide it by 2. So 33 inches divided by 2, you have 16.5. So let's assume this is your fabric. You're going to turn your tape this way and place, forming like a little circle, and you're going to get where you have that 16.5 inches on the pattern paper or on your fabric this way. So now you're going to take the measurement from the closed side. So from the tip to where you have that circle, measure it. So whatever you have there, you're going to take it all the way around, forming like a semi-circle. So after marking that, you want to connect all your dots back, and after connecting it, the next step is to get your skirt length. So remember, our shoulder to waist is 17 inches. So what you do, that 17 inches, you take it out from the length of the dress, which is 60. So if you do 60 minus 17, you will have 43 inches. So from the waist, you're going to place that 43 inches following a semicircle, and you're going to draw it out. So this is a 180 degrees flare. So you can actually use about 3 yards to cut this out. That is if your fabric is by 60, 3 yards, 3.5 yards for this part. So for a 360-degree flare that is very long, you have to go ahead to join your fabric, because you might not really get this exact fullness. You have to join some part of the dress because of the length of the dress. So now you find a midpoint and you're going to join this all the way around to your dress. And remember also to attach a modesty panel at the back to cover up the back part of the dress. And after attaching your dress by this back, you will notice you have 1 inch left plus 1.5 inches for the lacing bar area. You'll be having an extension of 2.5 inches at the back. So for this part, which is a 360 flay, I folded my pattern into 4. So now, after you're done folding it, just like we did for the other side, you're going to divide your waist circumference. That is that 33 inches that we have. You divide it by 4. So whatever measurement you have, you form like a semicircle and find the measurement you have. So 33 divided by 4, I have 8.2. So I'm going to find 8.2 on this line. After that, from the closed part, from the longest part of the closed side, I'm going to go ahead to place my tape, and I'm going to take the measurement I have there all the way round. So after taking that measurement all the way round, I'm going to connect it, forming a semicircle at that point. So after that, I'll draw this out, and then I'll go ahead to place and get the length of my dress. So when you're actually cutting this, you notice that one part of your fabric might not meet the length, so you have to go ahead to join your fabric before cutting this out. Or you can just use this method to cut only the front part and then cut the back part and join it together as one piece. So this is what I have after I was done cutting out. And if you cut this out, you notice that you have a full circle, and what you're going to do is just to go ahead to slash open one side of this pattern this way, and this is what you will have. So with this, we have come to the end of today's tutorial, and see you in our next video. Thanks.